Luke chapter 22. We've been telling you, by the way, we're on our way to a track meet, so we're on the road again today. We've been telling you that all of these chapters are pushing us toward seeing Jesus on the cross. And I mean, if you can't figure it out by this chapter, I don't know how much more it can do for you. Like, it takes us there. Whenever the chapter opens, you see where the conflict comes from. Like, look in the first couple of verses. You've got the priests and the leaders and the Pharisees. They're all plotting together to murder Jesus. And so what you've got there is, while all the Jews are supposed to be at home preparing for the Passover holidays with their families, with their friends, with their loved ones, and preparing to worship, instead you've got these guys in the back room planning and preparing murder and assassination and conspiracy. And then it tells you why. Because 2 verses later, it tells you that Satan has entered into Judas, and Satan is at the root of all of this. And it really reminds me, like what the New Testament tells us, is that our battle is not with flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and these powers in dark places. The devil's at the root of this. So this battle looks like it's between the Pharisees and Jesus, but in reality, this is the culmination of all the stuff since Genesis chapter 3, where it said that one day the Messiah is going to come and the snake is going to bite at his heel, but he's going to step on the head of the serpent. This is when all of that really is happening.
All right, John, what was your takeaway?
So I liked how all the disciples, they were so determined to take care of Jesus and fight for him. For example, Peter, when he cut off that guy's ear. But once Peter cut off the guy's ear, it wasn't Peter it wasn't the guy that Jesus talked or said, like, hey, don't do that to. It was Peter, when Peter was defending him, because Jesus is, one of his names is Prince of Peace, and he was keeping the peace.
That's right. We were talking about how Jesus came, the Messiah came, and everyone's missing him because they think they have a good idea of what he's supposed to look like. They thought he was going to be some wealthy king who just took control and took power. Either that or like a conquering military warrior. And so I think Peter here, he knows he's not the wealthy king, but maybe he thinks, okay, this is time for battle. I'm ready. And so I like that. It's also a sad chapter for Peter, but I like that it shows his humanity. And we're going to continue on with Peter's story after this chapter. Dustin and I had the same takeaway. I think Jesus is a beautiful picture. His life on earth is the most perfect picture of servanthood for us. The fact that he came to earth and gave his life, his whole purpose from the beginning was to be a servant, to come and take our place. And then just the way he lived his life on earth, he was a servant constantly. Dust, you want to say your part and I'll...
Yeah, I think the irony of the story is that where Jesus is obviously the suffering servant at every stage of this story, there's this little interlude in the story with the disciples arguing about which one of them is the greatest. They've been with him 3 years, and he has put everybody else first for the whole time, and yet they are still arguing about which one of them is the best. That's the irony of this story.
Yes, even just in this chapter. We see our friends, we're going to Jax's track meet. So I'm just like, how many times do we get this wrong also? It's difficult to live in this earth where everyone's like, exalt self. Everyone's like, the world is pushing you. You want to make a difference in the world, or you want to make a name for yourself, when really our purpose should be living for Jesus and making a name for Jesus, and we should be putting ourselves last. There's something that also happens in this, not in this chapter in the book of Luke, but in other accounts in the gospel. And the way they start this dinner is Jesus literally washes their feet, like the dirtiest of dirty, the lowest of low jobs. That's how he begins this meal. And then, like, in in 5 minutes they're fighting over who gets to sit by Jesus and who gets to be the best and all of this. And so I just wonder, how many times do we get this wrong? Throughout the Chronicles that we've been reading, something that stuck out to me with all the kings is that pride theme. A lot of times, even the good kings, they had pride issues, and that would turn their hearts away from God. And I'm seeing just this theme of how very important humility is, and I'm very thankful that we have the example of Jesus living on this earth, showing us exactly what that looks like. Anything else, guys?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right, we're gonna go cheer for Jax and all his team, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.